Hello, and welcome to the stream.
Can we talk now?
Yeah, you can talk now. Okay, that was just so you weren't talking. So it wasn't like the.
Hello.
Hi.
I had everyone be really quiet during the end of the countdown because the way the streaming software works, you would have heard us just being like, "Man, the stream's gonna start soon. Hope it goes good." Great. So yeah, welcome to our anniversary stream where we're going to do a Q&A. We're going to talk about stuff. Let us know if the volume's a little bit weird at all. Specifically, let it know if mine's different because I can adjust it. But welcome to the stream. This is for Quest friends. I'm sure you know us. We're just going to go around. I'm Kyle. I'm the GM. And I'm also running this shit show. Wow, this just sounds like the first episode again. Is my first of everything me just being really awkward? I think that's just my first of everything.
Yeah.
Anyways, Emily, you're right next to me.
I'm Emily. I play Ellie, and this is my sidekick, Charlie.
Can they see? Yeah, they can see.
Yeah.
Oh, he's so good.
Charlie's a very good boy.
Oh, Hallie and Tom's face cams are mixed up. Give me a second to just...
Oh my god, how did I not see that?
Movie magic, everyone.
None of us saw that.
Now it's correct.
None of us caught that.
Movie
Wow.
magic. All right,
Amazing.
Tom.
Hi, I'm Tom. I play Shock on this show that we call Quest Friends. I'm a person who lives in a society.
Who is Ari?
Ari is Ari, and Ari plays Misha in the Quest Friends.
And who is left?
I'm left. It's me, Ellie. I play Hopperscotch.
All right, so thanks so much for joining us for the anniversary. So what we're going to do is pretty simple now. We're just going to go through some Q&A questions. We've got our raffle with our 5 wonderful prizes, and we're going to go over those over the course of the stream. So just expect that every 15-20 minutes. We'll go for about 2 hours or so just answering all of your questions. One thing is that for that raffle, you have to fill out a survey, right? That survey will be closing in about 10 minutes. So around 8:20 my time, I'm going to close that survey. I'm going to announce the first winner. So if you want, you can check that chat if you want your chance at winning some sweet, sweet prizes. Otherwise, we are going to get started with the first of the questions, which I'm going to pop over here. Unless anyone has anything exciting they want to talk about before we start.
I mean, I just did the first week of my new job. I guess that was exciting.
That was exciting. Tom has employment.
I'm gainfully employed now. It's wonderful.
And also the ability to buy games for the Switch that he regrets.
Yep.
All right, on to the first question. Question 1. What made you decide to start the podcast? Because for some reason I just decided we're gonna start with a question for me.
With you.
Yeah, this is my question. Anyway, but this felt like the good place to start is how we decided to start the podcast. So we've been doing games together for about 4 years.
Something like that.
Because my first
Probably a little more, honestly.
5-ish. I think.
5?
Yeah, maybe 5.
Shit, no, because it was 4 years when we started. Fuck.
Yeah. Because what is time?
So we started in a game where we were all players. I've basically stolen all of the heroes, like the characters, the heroes of Navarine, are all stolen from that campaign, except for Ari's.
Yeah, but technically Misha is kind of a remake of my character from that campaign.
So we all did that campaign, and then we slowly did campaigns, and then around the time that I did one-shots for a period, and then around the time that I decided I want to do a full campaign, I was listening to the Adventure Zone. I had made it through, I think, I was in the second arc. I was in Murder on the Rockport Limited. And by the way, before we continue, not all of us here are finished with the Adventure Zone, so let's just be vague on things that happen. And by that, I mean say nothing except Taco is a jerk, because that is the universal constant of the world.
Yeah.
So I was listening to Taz, and I really, really liked it. And I was trying to do a YouTube channel. You know the ones where like people do those like comedic video game reviews. So I was trying to do that because I was like, oh, that seems like the best way to spend my time, I guess. And I was like, oh, I could do maybe if I turn this into a podcast on the side, it shouldn't take that long. It shouldn't take that long. One of those projects is still alive, and one is very much dead. So yeah, that's basically how we started. I was like, oh, this would be a fun side project if I had my campaign, my first ever campaign, be a podcast because it can't be that much to edit.
You fool.
That's a lie.
We
I also
learned.
started editing recently, and it takes fucking forever.
We learned.
Next question. So this was one that we had a couple of times. We actually had two people ask this, but the one that had it by name was Edward F. asks this question, which let me quickly get it on in here. So Edward F. asks us, what is the inspiration for your characters?
Ooh. Who wants to start?
Yeah, who starts?
Yeah, do we want to
let's-
have an order?
I mean, do we want... Let's start with... I'll just shoot it to somebody. Hey, Tom, you were the first one to come up with your character. Who is he?
Okay, so that's true. So to give a little bit of backstory, the easy answer is Mowgli. But the longer answer is that years ago, when Monty Cook Games first released Numenera, I fell in love with this random location out at the edge of a map called the Wheel of Buzz, which is just like a sanctuary for intelligent machines. And I just loved it to death. And then in the first like expanded character options book that they released, one of the new descriptors was Bazian, where you got to play as a human who had grown up in the wheel. And I thought that was the coolest thing ever, and immediately created Shock, my nano who talks to machines. And then never played him for 3 years because no one was running any Numenera games that I knew of.
Yeah, that was basically why I started. Was I knew Tom wanted to do it, and I was like, I have no idea what game I want to run, so
I begged Kyle
why
to
not?
do Numenera because I wanted to play Shock.
And then I read like 50 pages of the rule book and thought, well, that's enough, and here we are.
But yeah, some elements of Shock's backstory have not come to like perfect clarity yet. But the long and short of it is that like Shock is living a jungle book or graveyard book, if you know Neil Gaiman. That sort of story. He's a man cub.
All right. Do we want to just popcorn it around like in freaking middle school?
Who wants it? I did popcorn today
What
at
is
my
he
job
popcorn?
because we had to do like answer questions and do readings in our training. We just did popcorn out of nowhere. We did it.
So popcorn was something I did in primarily middle school when we were reading, and you would finish your section, then you would say popcorn, and you throw the answer to the next person. So that way it's not just me as God delegating, because I'm not God here. I'm just the jerk who like, what is the line from
Popcorn
Tony Stark?
Alley.
I just like,
Oh, so you say
I
their
like-
name?
I like, what? I like, yeah, you say their name. Anyway, so Tom,
Popcorn at Tally.
Oh, to me?
Yeah.
My inspiration for Hopperscotch was Ben Wyatt from Parks and Rec, who is the goodest good boy. And I love him. He's just my heart warms every time I speak about Ben Wyatt because I love him. And I tend to make my roleplay characters based off of fictional characters I like, and then they grow into their own person over time. So Hop's still growing, but he's basically just Ben Wyatt.
Yeah.
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 I mean, yeah. I didn't intend to give him like an Icetown backstory that happened by accident.
What if what if Ben Wyatt, but cowboy?
Yes, but cowboy
What if
and
Ben
accountant
Wyatt,
because he's
but Leslie was
evil.
an evil mastermind?
Let's not call Lorraine Leslie. She doesn't deserve it.
Leslie. How about that?
That sounds like a wrestler. It sounds like someone saying wrestling. Maybe
Leslie.
yeah, Wrestling. That's it. That's Lorraine's underground sport that she does in Piper's Pit on weekends. She runs the Wrestling tournaments.
That sounds awful. Garbage. Popcorn Ari.
Alright.
Hallie, I think you mean hopcorn.
Popcorn.
Popcorn Ari.
We're gonna play
So mad I
Hopcorn?
didn't look at that one. I'm so angry. Popcorn Ari.
Well, I mean, I guess there's like a long story and a short story, but like the shorter one is that I first just really wanted to, way back when we started role playing, I really wanted to make an android character in the Heroes of Neverine first inspired roleplay. So I made an android and he sucked. But I really wanted to continue the idea of making it. And at first I just wanted like, a fun C-3PO type character, and that didn't work that one time. But I still wanted to try it. So then I basically grabbed that character, took all of the bad things about it, took only a little bit of its essence, and then that's how I made Misha. And then Misha themselves is inspired by three main characters. So one is Castiel from Supernatural. So the name of the actor that plays Castiel is Misha Collins. So that's why I named my character Misha. And that's why they have the long trench coat and they perpetually confused expression in their face. And then Jarvis, I based it not on Jarvis from Tony Stark's computer, but Howard Stark's butler Jarvis. Because I was at the time watching a lot of Agent Carter, and I love Jarvis so much. So I took that part to make Misha a little bit like that, and I tried to give him give them a British accent. It didn't work. But, that's why they had that weird intonation when they speak. And then the last one, it's mostly an appearance. It's this character from a murder mystery visual novel called Danganronpa. So
I forgot about that.
On Gundam Tanaka, who is wonderful. And so the scarf, the pale skin, and the two colored eyes were based on Gundam. And then the two colored eyes actually mean something more than that, but you'll see later. But yeah, so that's mostly the inspiration for my beautiful android.
I can also say that there is one more other character who has a lot of inspiration for Misha on my side, and I won't. I won't say who it is, but I'll say that I have already given it away.
Well, I think I know who you're talking about.
It's not the one we talked about. That just got me in tune for the tone. But no, I've made clear allusions to one character.
But one thing I said, I took some of the main aspects that I took from my original android. Kyle is exploiting to his own advantage, and now I kind of regret doing it, but it's too late. So we'll see how it goes.
Hey Kyle, I want to have amnesia, but also do a murder. And how do you not expect that to not go badly?
Animus got that, and I like that of Animus, but the rest of him sucked. So hey.
I mean, it's very good. I love it. I think Misha is a really strong character. I just there was no way to not make it bad.
Yeah.
Ari, if it makes you feel better, if Kyle wants something, he'll get it anyway. The other day, he called me about a thing from Sherlock's backstory. Now, like this, right? And I said, no, it's like this instead. He said, but what if it wasn't?
Well, you're no one to talk. You also grabbed backstories of my characters before and made bad things about them. But anyways, I am going to popcorn it to Emily now.
Yay! It's just like gym class. I'm always the last one picked.
No.
No. I'm sorry. No. So, the most direct inspiration for Ellie badge is Ellie from Up.
Should I just download a torrent of the movie Up and just put it in the link? Be like, there you go, there's Ellie.
She was super, spunky, and then she seemed like a cool old lady, and I was like, well, what if I just played Ellie and it was Ellie instead of Carl. And also, I completely lost track of what I was saying. Oh yeah, I had never really played a kitty character. It was always like, I always played like high-end characters, and so I thought I should try to branch out, and finally getting comfortable playing her. And I didn't plan on the Lorraine aspect, but then it happened, and now it's my favorite thing.
All right, I'm gonna popcorn it over to me.
Oh, Kyle, so you're the last picked.
Because there is one character I want to talk about. I want to talk about Aegon Stormbreaker.
Oh no.
Because I mentioned that all of our characters, the heroes in Navarine were based off of former characters of ours. Not all of them. Who is the one?
Marv.
Marv. Yeah, Marv. Sue's dead husband. Marv is I kind of came up with in the moment, so he was not. But Sue is based on a character of Tom's named Buff Manning.
Sue.
The Professor is based on a couple of characters from a game we had called The Strange. Mako and Mauve were literally based on a character named Varric, who was Varric from The Legend of Korra plus bombs, and a character named Violet, who was basically a more murdery Jessie almost. Like, she felt more like Jessie in like her kind of like attitude, and then I just want to be an adventurer. And then Mauve is like a matured version of that, hence both purple names. But Aegon Stormbreaker. Aegon Stormbreaker was based on a character of Tom's named Jonas Bracken, hence why they both have their first names are both Game of Thrones names. Now Jonas is a paladin, and when he was going to defeat the main villain, Tom, what was he going to do?
What?
What was Jonas going to do when he beat the main villain? What did he want to do?
I actually don't know what you're... Oh, you mean my plan to start a revolution?
Yeah, what were you going to institute after that revolution was done?
My socialist revolution? A socialist republic?
Yeah,
like the Star Wars republic, but socialist... Okay, all right. So we've got to get into this now, because the entire time we were playing this Pathfinder campaign, everybody kept talking about how my character was going to turn evil. Because every time I said something, it sounded like a villainous thing, apparently. But my plan was really reasonable, I think. Everybody thought I was trying to institute this theocratic empire after we defeated the bad guys. But my plan was to basically do the Republic from Star Wars, just not bad, and set up like an order of paladins, like the Jedi. Like, I even wanted to build myself a lightsaber because we were in like a tech and fantasy part of the Pathfinder setting. But yes, I wanted to set up a republic. Socialist republic, darn you. I had so many plans.
One of which was, again, the socialist
my paladins were going to help
this
watch
socialist public, which is just happens to be watched over by paladins, which, remind you, get their power from gods. So it sounded a lot more to me and to some other folks like it was really him justifying a theocracy.
I don't have real power. They're just there to...
Oh, no real power. Just figureheads. Just figureheads. Like, that's better.
Rolling me over this.
Anyways, so I thought it'd be super fun if I made Jonas the main antagonist, and here we are. The character has almost nothing to do in common with Jonas besides being the leader of a team, having a big warhammer, which I haven't mentioned yet, but like that's not a super important detail. Yeah, and he also, the character also has lots of parallels with Shock, which is deliberate because I wanted to play a character like Tom would as the villain. So I'm very excited about that. We're gonna do one more question and then we'll move on to our first prize. Because there was another follow-up question to this, which we can go a bit shorter for that, which came from Andrew Fisher. And this one is a bit of a doozy. So Unexpected ways, story
Did I ever
progress.
tell you why I picked the last name Badge?
It's because it's the Ellie badge.
Well, yeah, but I picked it because it would annoy you.
Oh yeah, you picked it because it would annoy me. Anyways, so the other question, which I will popcorn first to Hallie, is how has your character inspiration shifted in an unexpected way as the story has progressed? What decisions have the PC made that their own players found the most surprising? So essentially, just pick one thing that Hop has done that has really surprised you.
So how do I answer this? When Lorraine showed up, Hop felt a lot differently than I thought he would. We spent a lot of time talking about things that led up to where Hop and Lorraine are now. So I had a lot of backstory to get up to there. So I kind of thought, like, not that I knew what was going to happen in the session, but like I just had been prepared for a certain feel and a certain context, and I was certain that I would know how he would feel, but I didn't. He felt very differently. I'm not sure I want to say how he felt exactly, but it was a lot less charged than I thought it would be. We can stop it there. So actually, he's a lot like, I was certain this whole arc we're playing through right now would be just like Hop, like what is the gif of Adam Scott where his hair is like sticking straight up and he's like, pizza, never heard of it. I love that gif so much, and I thought that was going to be Hop.
I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah, I love it. When he wants to make, what is it, the low-cal calzone zone. I thought Hop was going to be losing it, and he's not losing it in that way. He's reacting to things differently than I thought he would. It is just weird. I got in the session and she showed up and I was like, Hopper feels this way. Didn't expect that. I will popcorn it to Emily.
Well, I got a surprise. Kyle sometimes spoils things for me before they happen. He is amazingly spoiled pretty much nothing with Ellie, and I did not expect a child. But that became a big part of this arc that I didn't expect. And I think that some of Ellie's reactions were a lot better because they were very spur of the moment. I didn't have time to think about it. So she was a lot more emotional / volatile with Lorraine.
I liked that part.
I kind of like, of course you did. I kind of thought that, I was gonna have Ellie like muscle in there and just be like tough and I don't know, just tough. And then that didn't exactly happen, and I think it was a lot better that way.
See, what's funny is that I was positive because I was like, I had a plan of attack, like that. The thing Lorraine pops up to stop Ellie. I had that plan for weeks. I was like, first thing Emily's going to try to do is punch Lorraine in the face.
Oh yeah.
And so I was like, that can't happen.
That part I was planning on, but I didn't plan on having feelings other than just general aggression. Didn't plan on feeling feelings. It's fine.
That's fair. All right, who are we gonna popcorn it to?
I'm gonna popcorn it to Ari.
Oh boy. See, the thing for me is that, so Misha hasn't done anything not surprising for me until an episode that has happened, but it hasn't aired, so I really can't say what it is. It's something related to shock. That's all I can say. But I can't say more based on that. I think yeah. But in one thing that I didn't expect that I really like about Misha is their love for clothes. I didn't expect coming in that they were going to suddenly get like a crop top on top of another shirt, hats, but it's just the thing that just felt right as it happened, and now I love it. So that's just something unexpected, but yeah, pretty short and sweet because I can't spoil things you haven't heard yet.
All right, and I think Tom's the
popcorn to Tom.
I had my answer, but then I just forgot it a moment ago. Hold on, give me 1 second. What was the thing that surprised? Okay, yes. All right. I feel like I was most surprised when I went back for Shauna, because in hindsight, that doesn't seem like it's a particularly weird thing that we, went back to save someone. But leading up to that point, it was like, I don't really care about Shauna that much. It's just a weird person who lives in this place that we fell into. And she flagrantly ignored what we were saying and also seemed opposed to us. And so when she ran off into the corridor, we were like, well, can't really do anything about that if she doesn't want to go. But then, minutes later, as the session progressed and as we began to realize, the magnitude of what was happening there, I just sort of realized I can't leave her there. We have to go back. So that's what happened.
Cool. And then I'll do mine. And then if anyone wants, if someone wants to, in our Zoom chat or our Facebook chat me what question you want to answer next. I'll let everyone pick a question while I announce the winner. So before we do that, though, my thing, because I have a thing, is just very simple. I didn't expect to feel as dirty my first time after playing Lorraine as I did. I felt real damn shitty after that session. It was a rough time.
It was a rough night.
It was a very rough night. Tom and I had a lengthy discussion where he's just like, no. He's like, so we're going to defeat her, right? And I'm like, yeah, maybe. And he's like, no, she must be destroyed. It wasn't that violent.
It's okay, but I've gotten over it now.
But it was I think it was an emotional time for all of us. All right, and with that, I am going to move on. I'm going to pull up my Price is Right mini. And we're going to announce the first, we're going to do the first two winners, actually, because we're already a half an hour in. So, all right, so our first two prizes. The first prize today is a Everett dice bag made by Pixel Plush. I'm going to put a link to them down below. Pixel Plush makes all your favorite plushes, dice bags, and other assorted things. Recently, they actually had one of Misha Collins. That's right. The namesake of Misha Jarvis was one of their most recent dolls, and you can get a custom one right like the one we made right now. So we had many people who applied to win the prize, and we're going to look up and get that winner right now. But while we do, Emily, how about you call off how about you tell us about the wonderful award character sheet prize?
Oh, it's character sheet, hand inked and painted by myself for your role-playing character in the system of your choice. There's one, I don't know if you're showing it on the screen or not.
It is on the screen.
Yeah, that's kind of a mock-up of about what it would look like with some changes in structure, but yeah.
All right, if you could just go a little bit longer while I get that prize winner.
So let me tell you about my painting strategy.
Okay, so we have the winners of the 2 prizes. Let me just. All right, so we have the winner of our first 2 prizes. The winner of this wonderful Everett dice bag is Brandy Frederick. Brandy Frederick is the winner of the Everett dice bag. Congratulations, Brandy. I will mail this off to you within the next couple weeks. I will also send you an email. Meanwhile, I'm going to reuse the exact same sound effect. The winner of the Emily dice, the Emily character sheet is Thomas. That is spelled Tomas. There wasn't anything else. So it is not you, Thomas. It is
actually Tom.
Tomas.
Tomas. Oh shit! It's probably Tomas. Fuck.
Oh my god.
Tomas. I'm sorry, Tomas. Anyways, so yeah, Brandy is the winner of the Everett dice bag, and Emily's character sheet will go to Tomas, and I will send both of you an email sometime in the next couple of days, probably over this weekend, letting you know about that prize. But we still have 3 more to give away over the course of the evening. But before we do that, I'm going to pull up some questions.
Ooh.
Yeah, where do I find the questions?
I
to
sent them
pick
to
one?
the chat. Okay.
Which chat?
I
There's
sent-
like a bajillion
I
chats.
haven't looked at Facebook.
I don't see them anymore.
There-
Okay,
I can't find
I'm gonna put it. Fine. No, it's going in the Zoom chat. All right, it's
Okay.
going in the Zoom chat.
But I can't get it on the Zoom chat.
Can someone send it to Emily in the Facebook chat? I am gonna get the next question
I'm
up.
sorry.
But Zoom is pulling it up in Internet Explorer. No.
Why do you still have it?
It's
just on there by default. I don't know how to get rid of it.
okay. Let's do a couple of random questions. So we're gonna end with our questions about the future because there are a handful of those, and I think those are good to end on. Actually, no. We'll start. So we have a couple of questions we want to ask each other. So does anyone have any questions they want to ask the rest of the crew, the rest of the team?
I do.
Hit us, Ari.
All right, so I want to ask. So I know all of you have GM'd, so I want to ask what has been the most unexpected moment when you have been GMing, specifically like something you had planned you didn't account for in a campaign you were doing, and how you kind of corrected for that.
I'll start with mine because I know what mine is. Just give me just a moment for the music to kick in.
Pit. I was in the pit.
For you who can't hear it, currently The Pit by Mouse Rat is playing. Because The Pit is meant to be a very, let me close this out before the stream gets shut down. But, so The Pit was meant to be a side challenge. It was absolutely certain death beneath the pit. And then you all got to the point where you were going to fall down the pit, which I did not expect to happen. There were many ways in which I expected for you to get out, but you all just fell instead. So Emily was like, can I use a bunch of experience to undo this? And Tom was like, what if we just wrote it out? What if the pit wasn't certain death? And I think that was a great choice. Certain things, Shauna would not have existed if that were the case, because she was a solution to the problem of what to do there. I don't think Everett and Joe would not have come back if that were the case. Everett would not be part of the campaign if you had not fallen down the pit, because I would not have brought him back. The only reason I did is because it made sense for him to go on the mission once you all failed. So, yeah, it was a surprise, but I'm really glad it happened, and I'm glad Tom encouraged me to just dig into it, because I think that made the end of that session that arc flowed a lot better as a result, as opposed to it's just like, we're going to go on a side quest. Cool, we did it. Now let's go fight the bad guys, which was the original script. So that was the one very, very surprising thing, but it worked out significantly better. And because of it, I've changed my style so that I ever write a couple of episodes in advance and don't anticipate things like, will they fall down the pit or not? Because I can't know. Anyways, Hallie, you've jammed a couple of times.
I've GM'd twice
you've
now.
had a couple of unexpected moments, so I will pass it on over to you.
Well, my answer is a moment that happened in the Cookie Crew, but that part hasn't aired yet, so it would be a spoiler. So instead, I'll talk about the Titanic one-shot that I ran for all of you. And my answer for most unexpected thing was everything Kyle did.
Oh yeah.
Kyle's character just wasn't at all how I thought she'd be. For context, he played a character named Catherine Greyeye, who was a whale researcher, which he only chose because he knows that I am slightly afraid of whales. Just like a little bit. So Catherine had this stuffed narwhal that protected her from bad dreams. And my plan, because Ari and Tom were playing two detective types, was to have someone steal her whale so that Catherine could go to the detectives and be like, my whale's gone, please help. And Catherine was just crazy enough that I was sure she'd want to get her whale back enough that she would stick to those two detectives like glue the whole time and be like, no, you have to take this seriously, find my whale. But instead, everyone just kept splitting up all of the time. So I was handling 3 different stories on the Titanic, which I didn't want to do because I had a mystery that had like certain clues discovered day by day because the Titanic was afloat for like 4 days before it sank. So I needed a mystery that took long enough and was just convoluted enough to keep everyone on the boat, hopefully making friends so they could all be sad when the ship went down. But they just kept splitting up. And I blame Kyle mostly because Kyle was this rogue agent trying to do like science everywhere. And like,
I wanted to knock down a guy's door repeatedly.
Yeah. And I was like, no. So I had a steward come by and be like, ma'am, no. Do you have a key? And then like there was a time that Tom and Ari rolled so much better than I thought they were going to roll. And I was like, I can't, for these roles, I can't have the character running away, get away. So I introduced a character early and then decided the time was right to drop a clue that I hadn't planned to drop until the next day. So then I was like, oh no, I've accelerated the mystery way too much. I can't keep this whale away from them for another day. I've screwed it up. So I spent the whole next day, because we did the role play one night and then finished it the next night, freaking out and trying to fix my mistake. I did it. It was fine. I managed to stall you somehow, but it was very, very stressful. Keeping you all from that whale and making sure Kyle didn't do anything that was like too drastic.
I made a friend second session, the one you killed.
Did. I was really happy. And he was the one who I had almost nothing worked out for. I was glad he became important. All right.
Spoiler alert, the mystery was really good, and I also cried at the end of the game, which I didn't expect. That was the most surprising.
Titanic roleplay, Tom.
I didn't expect to cry on our goofy, silly Titanic one-shot.
Stupid mystery people just kept stealing the stuffed whale, like...
It was filled with a precious artifact. Plus...
Eventually, but for the first 2 days it was not. It was just gone.
It was just a whale.
Yeah, like, it was called you. And he wanted it for a stupid reason, to bribe the kids who wanted it because they're kids. And then they left it in the car. And then Theodore Gainsley was like, yes, this is where I'm going to put my rock. Inside this whale. And then I just had to keep making sure it was 2 steps ahead of you so that you didn't...
Ari.
And my detective knew he was going to put the rock in a whale before he put the rock in a whale.
I'm still so angry about this, incidentally. Yes.
Lay detect stuff was also just a thorn in my side the whole game. It was just like, you're too good at being a detective. It was...
All right, so Ari's got to go do something. But while we do that, Tom, do you want to mention yours?
Oops. The question that I've been thinking about for weeks and haven't settled on a perfect answer for. I mean, what was the most... All right. I feel like there isn't a single incident that stands out to me as the weirdest thing my players have ever done. There are just a lot of small incidents that have happened over time where it was like, I didn't see it going this way. Like, when I was running a campaign of Estrange for most of the people who are now in Quest Friends, a couple of years back, Um, there was a bit where Kyle and Ari were off investigating on their own. And for context, Kyle was playing a literal alien being that was somehow like masquerading as a human in a mask. And Ari was playing just this weird mad scientist. And they were just investigating this weird magical drug from another dimension, okay?
As one does.
As you do. But they were looking up a lead, and they broke into this guy's apartment and got caught. And by one of the neighbors. So rather than doing what I thought, which is, oh hey, it's time to leave now because you've been caught and someone's gonna call the police, better run away. Instead, Kyle chases down the neighbor into his apartment. He blasts open the lock with magic to get in, bursts into this neighbor's room, and he's like, please don't hurt me, don't hurt me. He's like trying to indicate, maybe this guy isn't involved, he's just a bystander who caught you. He tries to call the police. Kyle explodes the phone in his hands. And they stay there. So I'm like, I have to make them leave somehow. So I'm like, you hear the police show up outside, and they're like, well, I can't even remember what you did, but it wasn't like immediately run away. It was like either trying to hide under a table or go back into the other room. But whatever you did, it was terrible. And so I had them chased down by these two cops who became sort of minor characters. They sort of put up a fight and got tasered and taken to jail, where they had to be bailed out by the fixer for the estate, the organization they were working for.
We were great.
That is one of my most notable moments of what are you doing, players?
We were
Why has any of this happened? I gave you so many clues.
See, for a second, I thought you were going to talk about when we killed your current character that you had set up.
That same session?
It was the same session.
No. Actually, it was a different session because that was Tom Mallard, not Leroy Kane, who didn't die. I thought you killed him because I thought you dropped an entire lamppost on his head. And it was like, well, you did it. You killed him. He was like, no, I didn't kill him. I just dropped this tiny piece on his head. And it's like, well, I guess you get to take him alive then. That's my rant about players.
Anyways.
All right, before we move on to Emily, Ari, what is that you've got in your hands?
This is the stuffed narwhal from the Titanic roleplay. So it was this narwhal. It was hidden a little gem in our roleplay, and it was tossed around between literally every passenger of the Titanic.
Every single one had it at some point.
It was great.
I'm still so fucking angry at Ari for that because Ari played this like atrocious parody French detective who like spent the entire game just speaking to anyone who would listen about how a crime was definitely going to happen, probably a murder. Like, we probably wouldn't stop it, but definitely solve it before anyone noticed. And I was like, what are you doing? But Ari solved all of the mysteries and was easily the more competent detective the entire game.
Sure.
I was trying to play, like, a Burt Macklin-style spoof character. And I somehow ended up the straight man of the game.
He just decided to come up with the most ridiculous mystery explanations. I was like, yeah, the gem is in this whale, and
you were right.
Oh,
but the best part is that she wasn't right yet. It wasn't in the whale when she said that. Because I double checked my notes.
So it doesn't even matter. From our perspective, she was right.
I know.
From my perspective, the Jedi are evil. All right. Anyways, so we can do a couple more questions. Emily, what is yours?
Well, I've never GM'd a campaign. I've only done one shots. But at the very end of this sort of sci-fi one shot that took place in a crumbling factory with these weird creatures, there was a scientist, and he.
I'll be back. Keep talking.
Okay. He turned out to be controlling one of the gross evil monsters. It turned into body horror. It was weird. But one of the players flat out murdered the scientist.
Oh no.
Which I did not. Like, she just shot him.
Just immediately, like, no.
Everyone else was fighting this creature, and then she just turned around and shot the scientist.
I mean,
That
he was the man.
That was Faith.
I mean, that seems about right. That seems like something Faith would do.
Um,
Faith does not hesitate. Faith does not hesitate.
So, this is something that probably I would not do with other people, but because these were the people I was playing with, I felt like it would be funny. So I just, in the epilogue, she got arrested.
Oh no.
And then she was on the run from jail.
All right, so I've been holding on to a secret question. So I'm actually gonna put this up here.
Secret tunnel. Secret tunnel.
All right, so this one I'm gonna enter in once I pull up the question. So are we all ready for the one of the two secret questions?
Yes.
This comes from the winner of our Everett Dice Bag, Brandy Fredericks. So you can really regret that we gave this dice bag to her. One would think that Hopper is experienced enough with this Lorraine person to recognize one of her setups, especially as obvious a setup as this. Does Hopper's anger at her prevent him from seeing her brightly colored breadcrumb trail of doom? Also, follow-up question, Hallie, why do you hate Lorraine so much?
Okay. You're gonna have to put the first question in words again so that I can actually hear it through my rage.
Essentially, let me read it normal. So one would think that Hopper's experienced enough with this Lorraine person to recognize one of her setups. One would think, especially one that's honestly as obvious as this. So does Hopper's anger at her prevent him from seeing her, and I quote, brightly colored breadcrumb trail of doom?
It's not Hopper's anger. It is something else. The thing about Hopper and Lorraine is that the last time Hopper didn't play the game, bad things happened. That was Cartesian. He flagrantly ignored the rules of the game that time because he thought, I can stop it before it starts, and I can try to get her to stop doing all of these games. And it didn't go that way. He made a mistake. It's like his big mark of shame. He doesn't like to think about it. So part of when I said he felt differently about seeing Lorraine again than I thought he would is because that was the last time they had seen each other up to now. So it's not so much anger as shame. It's not what Emily's doing. It's a little bit of fear about whether he is wrong again. And it's not love. It's not love.
It's a little bit. Maybe not romantic, but it's a little bit.
It's hope. It's hope.
Hope.
Hope. It's hope. No, I can see the chat.
Shit. That's such a better song, Ari. Why did I choose I Won't Say I'm in Love?
So he knows that this is like a trap. He suspects a few things, but he's afraid of not going along with it. He thinks it will be easier to do that. Can I answer why I hate Lorraine so much?
Yeah.
Because
Please do.
Lorraine has jumped through the fourth wall and punched me directly in the face, it feels like. She has, like, personally insulted me. The thing is that once upon a time, Kyle was like, what if Hop had a nemesis? And I was like, ooh, rivals are fun, let's do it. And we were like, it'd be fun to make it a woman. And then he linked a Leslie Knope gif, and I was like, oh, maybe I made a mistake. So then we talked about it, and it got really fun. And I said, because I told Kyle I wanted their first meeting to be a Hallmark movie gone wrong. That was the exact phrase that I used.
Hallie, it was all on you.
You made
It was all on you.
It was all on me.
Just watch Kyle's face in these moments. This is what he lives for.
Because, but then we talked about Hop's flashback. And I was really excited because he was like, yeah, there's going to be this girl named Beatrice who befriended Hop and is going to, like, help you along with your little mystery. And I was like, oh, cool, that's going to be great. I'm really excited to give Hop kind of a romantic backstory with someone who isn't Lorraine. Joke's on me! Because I just walked straight into that stupid trap. And it bugs me to this day because after that flashback, I started screaming into our chat and everyone was like, what, you didn't know it was Lorraine? And I was like, no, what do you mean? Like, no. We talked because you had specifically said after we talked about Beatrice, like that was the first woman who was like important in Hop's life. And then came Lorraine. We'll talk about the Lorraine origin story after we play your flashback session. And I thought nothing of it. I thought Kyle just had a lot on his plate and wanted to tackle one thing at a time. So I was like, sounds good, bro. I still haven't forgiven Kyle or Lorraine because Lorraine.
Also, fun fact of me loving to hide things in plain sight. Hallie, what are the initials for Beatrice Stillwater?
It's BS.
She was a load of BS the whole time.
BS the whole time.
Which, funnily, Hallie was an even greater hint because my first character never kept the same name. My first ever role-playing character always used a name that started with the letter B and ended with the letter S. So it wasn't just that it was the initials, it was that I had a character with those initials very important before.
Yeah. So, like, I wanted to give Hop a backstory to someone else, and it was just Lorraine. So I was like, get out of here. And then I didn't see I didn't see through the deception that everyone else saw through. So, like, that felt like a personal insult to me. And then, like, I knew because they were rivals that, like, there was going to be some hurt in their relationship and that she would have hurt Hop at some point. But the thing is that, like, I was ready for her to hurt my baby. I wasn't ready for her to hurt the baby version of my baby. That was like an extra punch to the gut. And I did that to my baby, like, because I just didn't. It's not my fault. It's not my fault.
All right. So I think we're going to do 2 more questions, and then we'll take a 5-minute break, announce some more winners, and we'll get deep into the thick of it. So I'm going to pick the next 2 ones, and then during that 5-minute break, we can all decide what the rest of the questions are. So the first question that is easy, and I will answer this one. Let me just pull this into here. First question, do you play remotely or in one place? And the answer is remotely.
Oh, are we doing this?
There he goes. There he goes.
Remotely, kind of. Yes. So in June, I moved in with Kyle because of real life reasons. I'm not gonna go into here, but I ended up crashing at Kyle's place, and now we're roommates. So I live here now. This is my home. I get to live with this every day.
I don't know why I'm here.
But so yeah, so we play remotely. The way it's set up is that Ari, Tom, Hallie all have their own mics, and then like in the stream, Emily and I both operate off of one mic. In fact, that's one of the things I want to do is I want to buy a second mic and try. Don't know if it's going to work. Try a 2-mic setup in one room. You have no idea, burst of hope, how out of shape I am. That was a burst of cardio for me. So also Peter, I imagine Kyle trolling you IRL every day. Tom, clean your dishes or I'm killing Shock.
Yeah, I saw that. That hits
There's no
significantly closer to home.
Yeah, there's just cut the clean your dishes part and you're good. But no, I don't
Kyle,
know.
which one of us is cleaning all of those dishes in the sink tonight?
Probably
I don't
me.
even know what
Oh,
that's the worst part.
But yeah, we do remotely. I don't know how people do it in person because like there's so much crosstalk that I cut when I edit that I don't know how you could do it without those separate files. Like that's why you'll notice there's a little bit more crosstalk with me and Emily, but it's always the small things that get you. It's like someone coughs or takes a drink of water. Or like two people start a sentence and one of the people starts and then backs down because they're like, oh, nah, I'm not ready to go. Oh, I interrupted. And the other person will continue the sentence fine. And so like when we're remote, I'm able to cut those little just those little hiccups really easily. And it's super easy to do. But in person, it's a lot harder, which is why sometimes you'll notice that like Emily won't finish saying something, but then I'll start saying something and I'll stop. And that's because I can't edit out when I do that to Emily. Yeah, so I thought that was a pretty simple one. And then I think let's do one about Numenera. Because we are ostensibly a Numenera podcast. Theoretically,
Can I talk about the lore,
that's
Kyle?
what we are.
Can I talk about the lore?
You can talk about the lore.
Wait, I forgot I unplugged that mic. Why did I lean into it?
So
damn it.
Let me oops, it accidentally popped out. So this question which we got is what's everyone's Numenera inspiration that gets them to the right headspace when setting? How do you get how do you get prepped for being not for fitting the tone of the game, the tone of the world? How do you get ready to think Numenera? If that makes sense. I'll start with this one because I've been thinking about this for a while, and I think I, as the GM, have to, I have to think more about what it's like to have our world than everybody else because I create the tone of it. And so when it originally started, I just took from a lot of sources. When Tom first explained Numenera to me, I didn't get it. And it wasn't until I thought of it like the world of Avatar: The Last Airbender, where they have modern tech, but it's also not modern because it's used through different means, that I was able to really start wrapping my head around it, which is why Charmande, and specifically the Queen, is basically the Earth Kingdom from Legend of Korra. I've taken a lot from Castle in the Sky, which is one of my favorite movies. One of the places I don't have a name for, so I just call it Laputa right now. But getting in the proper headspace, I just took all those inspirations. And then honestly, once I had done it a little bit and was used to being used to the way the world felt as I had set it up, everything else, I don't really need to get in the headspace because at this point, it is the ninth world, but it also very much feels like my world in a way. It's very much turned into something that I feel like I have a lot more ownership on, and so at this point I just inherently own it. I inherently own it in my heart. I know what I want to do. The one thing I will say that when I design new things, I kind of follow two rules, and it's what if thing I hate about society, but more. Charmande is what do you happen when you have this bureaucracy that's just focused on, well, this person does it this way, so that's the best way to do it. And then Roulettia is very much unchecked consumerism, capitalism. In an upcoming episode, I'm just going to spoil this joke because I think it's the best summary. Upcoming episode, these kids wear these little, at the parade, they have these little banners that say future paycheck or something like that, future consumer. And that came from me at fucking Cub Foods. There are these mini shopper carts that say future shopper. And I'm like, so are you just seeing these kids as fucking open wallets? Because that's, in reality, this future shopper sign is just saying future person to give us money. And so I really put a lot of those frustrations in there. And then for technology, it's what if current thing, but weird, or what if current thing, but future. Like it's literally the look around you, see what you've got. Like here, what if giant bobblehead doll of little like superhero girl that does bees? So if I did something like this, it would be like if this was an item, because I can make an item out of this, and this is how I do it. I'm like, I'm gonna take this, but then the head will open up and a swarm of bees will fly out. Like that's my item creation. Is just take something and make it disturbing, weird, or futuristic. Which this kind of already is. Anyways, I'm gonna popcorn
get this Chloe doll out of our sight, Kyle.
Who is worse? Only time will tell.
God, who even knows? Oh.
Anyways, Ari, I'm gonna popcorn it over to you.
Oh boy. I mean, I don't have as much as an extensive answer because I think out of all of us, I'm the one that probably knows still the least about the overall world. But I don't know. I mean, I guess it's less getting into the environment mindset, and it's more getting into like my character as they play in this world mindset kind of thing, which I guess it's kind of the same, but I haven't really like explored much more on the world yet. But yeah, that's my brief answer to it. I will popcorn it onto Tom so that he can actually give us more lore about this.
Yeah, because I think Tom, you probably had to have the biggest like. You probably had to have the biggest mental shift, just because you read so much about rule books.
I am Numenera. And what I mean by that is I'm the biggest lore nerd. I buy role-playing setting books that I know I will never use ever because no one will ever play games in those settings, and just read them anyway because I really like them. And also Numenera is important to me because it was the first game I ever ran, like right after the core rulebook first came out. In my senior year of college, I ran a game that Hallie was a part of.
It was.
Anastasia.
It was a fun time.
Yeah, Anastasia Brackleberry from the Cookie Crew was actually Hallie's PC, and what we call the Coup of Anquin, which was 5 years before this game, was basically the plot of their story.
Yeah.
Anyways, continue.
But yeah, I'm a lore nerd. So getting into a Numenera mindset is it's hard to describe, and it's especially hard because my Numenera mindset has had to shift incredibly because Kyle's version of Numenera is definitely not quite the same as the book's version of Numenera, and that's not a bad thing. Although we did butt heads on a few issues early on, but like it's interesting. Like Kyle once explained it to me as like it's like the Numenera core rule book, but like 100 years in the future, and I really liked that explanation. I think that was the most important thing for like wrapping my head around this world. Like, oh, it's this, but everybody has a little bit more modern stuff than they used to. I guess I just think sci-fantasy. What if fantasy, but it was machines?
Jeez.
Yeah, and alternatively, the way I think about it is, what if machines, but weird? Yeah, I am pretty proud of that explanation of like, we're basically 100 to 1,000 years in the future from the game, which is why our ninth world is a lot more put together. It's like, what happens if society manages to piece itself together? And the answer, Quest Friends unequivocally says, is only bad things. Apparently. Anyways, Tom, you got more to say? You're gonna popcorn it onto somebody.
Who hasn't gone yet? Has Emily given an answer to this question? All right, I popcorn to Emily.
I guess sci fantasy kind of is what I look at. The thing that I actually got me super excited about Numenera as a world was hearing about the Iron Wind. That's what it's called, right?
Yeah, the Iron Wind. Iron Wind is super great.
Yeah, that's
You bet your ass that's showing up for anyone who's like listened to Numenera. That is a big thing.
yeah. That just seemed like such a cool concept, and that's what actually got me really excited about the world because that's one of the first things I think I heard about.
So what is the Iron Wind, Emily, to anyone who might not be as familiar with Numenera?
Are we going with the nano machines?
Yeah, that's the one place. Nanomachines are kind of nebulously everywhere in Numenera, and I'm just I'm saying that they're specifically in the Iron Wind and basically just there to kind of give more distinction to the wind. And I'll probably never actually
Okay,
explain
Ryan.
that it's nanomachines. Just
Yeah.
I might not, but yeah, it's basically nanomachines.
Yeah.
Anyways,
And they twist and transform things, and it's just super cool, and I think it encompasses that feeling of sci-fi fantasy.
Yeah.
In some ways.
yeah, the Iron Wind is super cool. It basically twists and malforms the Numenera core rulebook, the first one they have, and we'll talk about the second one after the break because we had a question about that. Is the Numenera core rulebook starts with a story that's really good. I didn't quite understand Numenera before I read it, but it like really sets in the tone of the world, and it discusses the Iron Wind, and the Iron Wind essentially it just transforms everything around it. So like in the story, it can like you don't survive the Iron Wind, like it'll just turn your arm into lead
Or tentacles.
or tentacles
Or anything.
My interpretation of it that I'm going to take is I think I like it, but I don't think the book goes far enough. And so my interpretation of the Iron Wind, just because I'm really excited, is what if Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, but deadly in every way? Because
I'm so
Willy
terrified.
Wonka's chocolate factory feels like the best way to sum up what would the Iron Wind actually create? It wouldn't create like tentacles and stuff. It would create this multicolored patchwork of fucking hell, which just makes me think
So
of
afraid.
Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. Like you go through and it looks like a goddamn Dr. Seuss book, and you're like, "Well, this is cheery," and then you realize that wait, that grass has a head. How did it get there? What came first, the head or the grass? Nobody knows. And that's the Iron Wind. All right, before we take our break, Hallie, what gets you into the proper mind space for Numenera?
My answer is boring because it's like everything that you said. Castle in the Sky, Avatar: The Last Airbender. And this is also like really subjective and really small and really kind of stupid, but I really like buzzer discs. They look like Beyblades to me. So if I just imagine buzzer discs, I'm like Numenera time. Like I don't know. I like them.
That's a perfect answer.
Like it's just fun.
Numenera is buzzer discs.
So yeah, there we go.
All right. All right. We're gonna end on one comment, and then we will be back in 5 minutes, and we will announce 2 more winners and do some more questions. And our comment is from Sunny Stabby. From the people who brought you chicken and the egg comes grass or head. And with that, we will see you all in about 5 minutes. All right. See you then.
Bye.
All right,
God,
and
so
we
many.
are back. We had a little bit of a
Oh.
snafu partway through, so I'm just going to shift over between Ari and Tom, and they're back in their proper places.
It was my fault.
And anyone, yeah, so it's time to announce the winners of our next prizes. Give me a second, too. All right, so we've given away the Everett Vice Bag. We've given away the characters sheet. Now it is time to give away the shirt. This wonderful shirt is artwork done by Mandy Robertson, Mighty Meller, a really great comics artist and just overall amazing person. You can find her work at twitter.com/Mighty Meller. Our other award today is going to be creating a custom NPC who will appear in-game. The person who wins will get a lot more details from me, but in essence, it'll be your job to create the character, create their name, their personality, likes, dislikes, and then it will be my job to find out what their relationship will be like with characters in the story, what their general role will be in the story, and finally bring them to life with my words and voice and body positions, but you won't see my gestures. So mostly my voice. All right. So the winner of the first prize, the shirt, is Jess.
Ooh!
I said it like that because Jess was in all caps. So if Jess, you typed in your name as Jess, you win both a Cookie Crew and a Quest Friends t-shirt. Don't worry, they're not spliced together, as horrifyingly as that is. Finally, our winner of the NPC is Kyle Patrick. So Kyle, you will be creating a character that me, a different Kyle, will be playing, and we'll do a lot of talking about that. I'll let you know a lot more about the process. Yours might take a little while because I want to have a pretty lengthy email that just explains, kind of what it'll be like. But yeah, so those are our two winners, Jess and Kyle. I also want to take a moment now to just thank everyone who took the time to fill out the survey. I'm going to be giving out general results of that in the next couple of weeks and telling you kind of about our future plan of actions. Like, one thing I can say is that we're currently working on getting transcripts out by about January. Around January, we're going to do a site overhaul, redesign, and do some transcripts to help with some accessibility things by the start of our next chapter. So thanks so much. It's been really helpful to anyone who filled out the survey. Congrats so much to the winners. And now we are going to move on to more questions. And we're going to start with a couple of questions about ourselves. And this one comes from Ash Raunch. And Ash asks us, are you a cat, dog, or insert pet of choice, example, sloth or goat person? I'm going to have Emily start.
I'm a cat person.
I mean,
No,
he basically
I'm
is a
dog
cat.
person. And this is Charlie, and this is my dog, and he's really cute, and he's looking at Kyle, because he loves Kyle, too.
Hi, Charlie.
But he loves me.
I think he just likes hanging his head back and not putting in any effort.
Yeah.
All right, popcorn it on to somebody.
Oh, yeah, we're popcorning. Hallie.
If I were to have a pet, it would be something small like a hedgehog. But my favorite pet was this bat that lived in the wall of my dorm room in junior year of college. I named him Chitters. I swear there was just I was on the fourth floor in the turret of this really old building, and they were bats, like they warned you at the beginning of the year, like they're bats. So I was squeaking coming from my wall one day, and I was like, oh my god, it's like they foretold, it's a bat. And I named him Chitters, and he legitimately talked to me. I would be sitting at my desk, be like, how are you today, Chitters? And he would respond, and it was amazing. There were witnesses. A friend of mine spent the night once, and she was legitimately afraid because Chitters was clearly moving through the wall and above where her bed was, and it was amazing. He left after a time, but there was a day that I was wondering, I wonder what happened to Chitters. And he came back just for 5 minutes. And I think he told me that he met a nice partner bat and settled down and had a lot of cute little bat kids. I hope Chitters is doing well.
Okay, wait. Can I revise my answer and also say moths? Because if we're going with pets that just show up and you love them and they also fly, I had a moth in my apartment and it had stubby legs just like Charlie, and I named it Bert, and I loved it, and I took lots of pictures of it, and I put out sugar water, but then it disappeared.
That's so wonderful.
But I loved
Hallie,
it.
you should also tell everyone that Chitters also made it into role-playing.
He did. Chitters made it into role-playing. In the same game that Kyle was his BS character. I was a witch and I had a familiar. And a friend of ours hadn't had time to make a character, but he wanted to like come along. So I was like, oh my god, you can be Chitters. So I had this friend be Chitters while we were playing. And he just like that squeaked the whole time, and it was great. And my reason for being in the city at the start of the game was because it was Chitters' birthday, and I was getting him a collar, a nice new collar. So we role played a little bit of that. I was like, Chitters, what color collar do you want? And he'd go like, cheep, cheep. That's not what a bat sounds like. I don't remember what he made.
That's probably what he did. That sounds like a thing Ryan would do.
That sounds like a thing Ryan would do. He was a bat, and it was great.
Yeah, Ryan, this was the character on Twitter. I had a mention of a Rock Ryan Shanks fossil. That is this Ryan. I can mention him because he's probably not going to appear in game anymore, but he was going to be an endgame NPC. Was just this murdery old man who likes fossils. Also, let me make sure I get the name right. I think it's Kiffles. I hear your suggestion that Hop gets a bat soon in the future.
You mean Cliffus?
Cliffus. Shit. No, it's Ki. It's Kiffles.
It's Kiffles.
It's Kiffles.
Kiffles.
Wait, that's an I?
Yeah.
Yes.
I've been pronouncing it as an L for so long.
Anyways, so
Oops.
He could go with a bat.
So anyways, I don't know if it'll be a bat, and I don't know if I'm going to give the pet to Hop, but and I think Hallie probably already has figured it out. I've already put in my notes to give a character a Hop adjacent character in the future, a pet who may be a bat and may be named Chitters. It'll probably just be a quail instead, but I haven't decided yet.
No.
Can it be a Keese from Breath of the Wild?
I'm not just going to steal Breath of the Wild monsters, Tom.
I mean,
No, I hate
but it's suitably atrocious. It's a bat. And also, Breath of the Wild is very Numenera-y.
Yeah, but like, I can steal from the Numenera IP. I can't steal from the Zelda IP, Tom.
They also know.
Fine.
All right.
I hate them. They're like,
Keeses also suck, so they just.
Fine. God. All right. My thing has been shot down.
All right. Just like a Keese. Anyways, Emily, who you're popcorning it to?
Didn't I popcorn it to Hallie?
Answered. It's my job.
Hallie, popcorn.
Popcorn.
I just got distracted.
I'm gonna hopcorn to Tom.
What was the question again?
Are you a dog, cat,
cat,
or other
dog?
kind of animal person?
Oh, I remember. That was a joke. I don't know if I'm like specifically a certain animal person because I love a lot of animals.
You love chicken.
I feel like I'm most likely to get a cat if and when I get a pet because I need a really chill I need a really chill pet to chill with me all the time. I feel like a dog, most dogs anyway, would take too much energy from me right now at this point in my life. That's my answer.
Okay.
It's an answer.
Charlie. Why are you doing that?
Popcorn to me or Ari?
Oh, Ari.
Okay, sure. Well, I am 100% a dog person. I do like cats, but I love dogs more, especially if they're small and if they have big ears and or look like chihuahuas. Which I know, but yeah. So I think that's my answer. I also like fennec foxes because they also look like chihuahuas. That's not the extent of the animals that I like, I promise.
All right.
Oh yeah, no to Kyle, obviously.
I have a little tiny dwarf hamster. His name is Nux, and I love him. And he is a very burrowy boy, and he is about this big, and I love him.
He's so cute.
He's not very smart, so I can't take him out and just hold him because he will disappear very quickly. So
there are multiple examples of how he's not.
yeah, like I could put him in a wheel
with it.
and have him hang out, but we're already kind of running low on time, so I'm not gonna do that. All right, so from this point on, yeah, we're gonna go through. Everyone might not answer, so if the question pops up and you're not really interested into it, anyone here, just send me a Zoom message and we won't popcorn to you, because we have a handful of questions and I want to make sure we get through them. The first one, though, we got asked a few times, and I'm gonna send it to Ari, because this question is
Ari, it's our time.
the Ari question, which is. So what podcasts do you all listen to? Any recommendations?
Oh boy. Okay. All right. Here we go. Okay. So I guess I listened to a bunch of podcasts. I didn't used to until April of this year when I started to do really long experiments at work and I needed a way to pass the time. And so the first one that I started listening to was Welcome to Night Vale. And I haven't listened to it in a while, but I did really like it. I especially live for people that listen to it. I live for Cecil and Carlos's relationship a lot. It's the best. It's one of my favorite fictional relationships ever, and it makes me really happy inside. And I also like I like Kevin as well. I hate him, but I love him at the same time, I must admit. So that's one. I also listen to Lore by Aaron Mackey. I really like it. It's like a bunch of I think it's like a half an hour just explanation on something in the lore or a legend or something. If I could recommend an episode, I really like his first episode about vampires and where that legend originated from. That's really cool. There's also one story that I really like about like a lighthouse. I'm not going to go too much into details. Just look Lore lighthouse story. It happened. It actually happened, and it's like the most terrifying thing ever. So if you could listen to it in Halloween, that would be even more recommended. Then I also obviously listen now to the Adventure Zone, but I am not caught up yet, so don't spoil it. I'm just arriving to the end of the 11th hour. I actually introduced it to a friend, and he's now way past ahead of me, Peter, because it's so good.
11th
So
hour.
obviously everyone did.
11th hour.
And yeah, it's really good. I'm going on that line. I also really like Sawbones, which is the podcast that Justin and his wife Sydney do about weird medical history. And it's so good because Sydney's she's an actual medical doctor, so she brings really cool educational stuff to the mix. And Justin is not. He's just there for the ride and to make jokes. But the way that they bounce off each other is really good. So I do really recommend that podcast. If I could recommend an episode, my favorite one so far is the Plague one. I'm still on the 2013 bunch of episodes, so I haven't listened much more past that. But the Plague one is really cool. I've learned a lot from it. And I love that Justin just calls it the Plague the whole way through because he is that kind of a person. So yeah, it's wonderful, and those are the podcasts I listen to.
It's so disorienting because every time you call it the Plague, I think you're making a ladybug joke, and you aren't.
I know,
but it gets very distressing.
And then I love it because every time the episode starts, there's a theme to that episode. So in the Plague one, Justin pretends to have this plague mask, doctor mask. And it's so good. There's one where he pretends to be a vampire, and does this weird I am a vampire. I am a vampire. It's so good. Like he's so funny. But then again, Justin's my favorite. So yeah, that's me. I'm gonna popcorn it to Hallie now.
To me, I also listen to lore. I like lore a lot. But that's about it for me. It's mostly just lore. But I also am listening to, what was it, Dust, Kyle? Is that what it is?
Oh yes, the Adventure Zone Dust. And I am one of those
Dust,
people
yes.
who will say yes, that is the best post-balance arc because it is incredible.
Okay. Yeah, because Kyle was like, this has ghosts and also vampires and also Old West. And I was like, hey, those are a lot of my buzzwords. So I'm giving that a shot, and I like it a lot. But I'm not a big, I like podcasts and listen to them, but I keep forgetting that I like them. So I haven't listened to a whole lot yet. Popcorn to Emily.
I second Sawbones because it's really good, and it's also helped me come clean to Kyle about weird thing.
She owns a map of the plague in her house.
I just
She got it at the Ren Fair.
pandemics
I
were all
really
there when it
interesting.
happened.
When that happened,
Yeah.
To be fair, I almost got it. Like I really wanted to get it, but then there was also a map of the brain, so I got it instead. So really, really, it was a really cool plague map.
We turned on the plague episode, and I was like, "Oh, are they gonna talk about pneumatic and bubonic plague?"
That's so cool. I didn't know that until I listened to it. It's so good.
It's been a very revealing podcast.
It's really good.
And then I've been meaning to listen to lore because it sounds really cool. So I think it sounds like a really cool concept. And if anyone has any recommendations for an art history podcast that they like, that would be great. So turning it around, asking for things from you.
Yeah, give us some podcast recommendations. Hit those podcasts.
I really like Quest Friends. It's this cool.
Oh, Quest Friends is a great podcast.
Yeah, it's this really fun kind of role play, sort of like D&D podcast. Not quite D&D, but it's a similar thing.
Yeah.
Really fun characters.
Also, some recommendations we've been getting are the Black Tapes, Wolf 359, which I've heard about as being praised as having a good website, and the Bright Sessions. So check out that chat for some good things. Everyone's being very nice in the chat, so don't be afraid of popping in and seeing jerks and stuff. It's super great. So if you're listening and you're not checking the chat, check the chats for some good podcast recommendations. All right, Emily, who are you popcorning it to?
I'm popcorning it to Tom.
By the way, remember
I have never listened to a single podcast in my life.
Before Tom gets into this,
Oh, maybe I should
and the rage happens. Remember, we have the mystery prize coming up, so you're going to want to stick around. Anyways, Tom.
I don't really listen to podcasts, not even ours. Now, I've listened to some episodes of ours, and I've listened to some episodes of our podcasts and enjoyed them. I just, for some reason, the format of podcasts doesn't hold my attention. I can't multitask and do something and also listen to a podcast. So either I sit here in my chair listening to a podcast, and then I get distracted because there's nothing visually stimulating. I feel really dumb when I say that, but I need videos. I need something, even if it's B-roll, to distract me while I listen to someone talk for a long time. It's the critical element. I just need B-roll, and then I could listen to every podcast. That's my spiel.
I want to point out a thing on that is that Tom knows more about the Adventure Zone than I do because he has learned all about it via watching YouTube videos.
Only animatic.
He has not actually listened to it, and it's just baffling to me.
I've listened to the first episode of Dust and about 2/3 of the first episode of Murder on the Rockport Limited, and everything else. Taz animatics. That's also how you got me into Hamilton, as you recall already.
Yeah, that's how I got into Hamilton.
And that's all I've ever done is watch animatics.
I'm so mine is gonna be pretty.
Tom, popcorn to you.
Okay, Tom, popcorn to me, please.
Yes, popcorn. I had to unmute myself.
Anyways, I'm kind of half like Tom, to be honest, and I think it's stranger coming from me as the showrunner. I haven't really ever gotten into other actual plays. I also know I compare myself very much a lot, so it's easy to listen to something like Taz that is just like maybe not quality wise, but like viewership wise is leagues above us. I won't feel the need to compare myself, but I know if I can do anyone closer, I will. I've gotten better about that. Like I've listened to some of the Amberclave, and they have a lot of fun on it. And I'm part of a review club, so I listen to one episode a week. I'm very excited for the one I'm about to come up to, but I'm. It's tough for me because I get really into them and I listen nonstop to a podcast, and then I'll just decide not to listen for weeks, and it's really tough to keep my attention. So the only ones I have queued up that I check occasionally there are two video game ones. There's Dad and Sons, the Super Bunny Hop podcast, and then there is Podquisition, which is done by Jim Sterling and pals. And one of the people on that is actually part of a actual play called Dice Funk, which I've always wanted to listen to, but I can never get very far in. And then the only other one I listen to really is The Adventure Zone, but I'm behind on it. Just there's something, even when I listen to the music for the First World, something about it feels like magical and unique and special, and it's interesting because something I know Ari can attest to as a little annoying that I agree was too is they did a thing especially early on where like a serious scene would happen and then they just make a bad joke.
Ari's just
I have beef with
screaming inside.
So I and they don't do that at all. They haven't done that at all in the second arc, but at times it feels a little too serious. And so I've had a little bit more trouble getting into it. I feel like the tone shifted a little too strongly. And I think I would have enjoyed it more if it was more like Griffin pitched it, which was what's the game about teenagers, the RPG, teenagers that go in dreams, the JRPG.
Persona?
Persona. It was originally pitched as Persona, which I would have fucking loved. But it's more conventional. It's weird because people compare it to Gravity Falls, but its tone is very different from Gravity Falls. So, but the last podcast I listened to is My Brother and Me Animatics. So because of my infrequent listening, I can never stay caught up on My Brother and Me, and I think the McElroys are really big. They don't need more of my attention. So I stopped listening to it. But I'll watch the animatics because they're visual, they're fun, and they're always the best jokes. So I'm a fan of the best of My Brother and Me. It's interesting. So yeah. All right. In that case, we're pretty close. So we're gonna speed through the rest of these. We might go 10 minutes over if everyone is okay with that. Over the 2-hour thing, and then we'll take a break. But we'll go maybe 15 minutes over. But we're gonna speed through the rest of these questions. So we have one from Hallie, and then we're gonna do a bunch of future questions, half of which I'm just gonna answer myself. But Hallie, what was your question for all of us?
So this is, because I am the world's greatest detective, I'm very observant, and I haven't observed this at all, despite having played like 12 to 13 sessions this way with you all now. So like, when you're playing, how do you envision everything? Like, it's hard for me when I'm sitting here, and I started out like every time I had to speak as Hop or like imagine a room, I would like look down at my lap. I've recently started to try to make eye contact with whoever I'm talking to, but that's really hard with video chats because everything's just a little bit off. And I haven't been paying attention to any of you apparently, because I'm like, I wonder what everyone else does. I haven't like noticed whether anyone like looks down at their lap or like looks to the side. Something I also do is I frequently like move sideways when I'm talking, and I don't know why I do that. So does anyone have any tricks for like Like, what gets you in the headspace when you need to be in character?
Um,
Let's go to Ari first.
Yeah, I guess what I do for Misha specifically is that sometimes I straighten up because they are tall, so like it's a way to kind of for me to get into that like atmosphere of that. But like when in general when doing role playing as a character, especially when doing a very serious scene, I do either look to the side or look at the ground instead of like doing eye contact, just to get the monologue going better. And so yeah, that's mostly what I do. I agree that making eye contact and doing those things not in person is way harder, because I know that when we do it, we have done a few of the role plays in session. I mean, in person, it's so much more easier to just banter and interact with one another that way. But yeah, that's basically. Yeah, sometimes I move my hands, but that's when I have a more like manic type of character, more crazy type of character. So yeah, I'm gonna popcorn it to Tom now.
I don't know what physical tics I have when I'm role playing. We would have to check tape to try to puzzle me out and figure out what I do. But I guess I mostly just visualize the world of Quest Friends through a weird mashup of Mandy's arts and like it's hard to describe how I visualize it, but it's weird because I often feel like I don't have a super clear picture in my head, and that's not like a dig at Kyle, like not describing things well enough. It's like I'm only half imagining the structure of things, like the way you have to remember details in a dream. My answer isn't making any sense. Nice. I'm gonna popcorn to Emily.
Okay.
Actually, I can start with saying that makes perfect sense. At least for me, I think it's very similar where I can't completely visualize. I'm a very visual person. I do art, and so I used to draw during sessions, but it started with the microphone. It was making noises, so I stopped doing that. But when I was drawing, sometimes I would sketch, like doodle little characters or doodle what I was thinking of at the time, and that also kind of helped keep me focused. But as far as like visual tics and physical things, oh, that was loud. I guess I look around and I tend to change my posture based on emotion because I do that in real life. I use my hands a lot. I can tell you about Kyle because he does everything. Even the way he sits and the way he moves, he gestures different ways for each character. I'll let you keep talking.
It's actually interesting. I struggle more in person because I get more self-conscious, and I also really struggle with eye contact. I don't like maintaining it. It's terrible, and it's a lot easier when I'm on the computer. It feels more like doing a public presentation, which I'm very comfortable with. But in improv theory, as I learned in improv class, there are 4 main ways of getting in character. So before I mention those, the way I get the world visualized is I have a song. I have songs for each location. I have a Roulettia playlist. I have songs for each episode. That's how I imagine. This is how I want it to feel. This music envelops my emotions for this scene, this character, this location. And that's really how I help kind of develop how I want it to feel. And I'll listen to those songs while writing out any descriptions. As for characters, there are multiple ways to get in characters. One is a voice, one is posture, one is to have an object, and one is to envelop an animal. And my 2 that I do are posture and voice. You'll kind of notice when I have a well-defined character, because I will be able to maintain their voice very well. Part of the reason that I do Lorraine so much is that I can so easily slip into her voice. And Jesse too. I can easily. It's inherent. I know how to get into the voice. But you'll notice that characters become more defined as their voices become more defined. like I can talk as Everett now, I guess, but it took me a while to figure out like how I wanted him to talk. And then like even though like Mauve has a really shitty accent, it's a very bad accent, but it's very distinct, and I can slip into it immediately. And because I can, I know how to speak as her. And that's really the thing is that like when I have a character coming up, I work to make sure I have their voice down, because that makes it a lot easier. Like in an upcoming episode, there's a character who I think is a little more distinct, and that's because I had him, I had him kind of stammer out everything. Not an actual stammer, more of like a I'm really anxious thing, because I wouldn't try to do an actual stutter. I'd have to do a lot of research before I even attempted that, because that's literally playing out a disability, and I just don't think that's not something I would want to do. It's different from having a character who has one than like I'm playing it out. So, but like because I quickly was like this character is so nervous all the time that they're going to repeat the first syllable of everything. It made them much more defined. So I focused a lot on my voice. All right. So how about you, Hallie?
I'm working on it. I don't know. Mine always change per session because I haven't found like a way yet. But I know that last time, for some reason, when I was saying something, I like moved my chair to the left like this while I was saying it. And then I thought immediately after, oh, Kyle's gonna kill me because my chair has wheels and that's gonna come up on the mic at the same time that I'm speaking. So like I'm actually trying to cut down on my physicality because so much of what I do with my physical is like moving my chair, or like I'll like move a pen or something that would cause problems when editing. So I have to find other outlets, and it's really hard. Which is why I asked the question, because I didn't know exactly what you guys were all doing. Like I know it's hand movements. Like Tom does this a lot, but so does Kyle, but in a much more assholey way. Like Tom's is like thinking, Kyle's is like I'm thinking and I want you to know it. Like a man spread thinking. It's super.
Hallie, is it okay if I just put you on blast right now? That because you mentioned moving away from the mic? Because I realized while editing the last part of the Cookie Crew, you were having two characters stage whisper to each other, and I realized as you were doing it, oh my fucking god, Hallie is turning away from the mic and whispering away from it right now. So how do I make this
I'm sorry.
functional? No, it's okay.
Yeah,
It's okay.
Here's the Quest Friend's dirty little secret. I mean, one thing,
Kyle yells at
one I do after every episode. I'm like, who did this? But
I've learned.
Hallie. So Hallie's. I think Hallie and I think Ari both had it set up in the Zoom. The Zoom had it set up where it would automatically adjust the volume. And Zoom tries so hard to be helpful. It's like, I'm going to help you by making you the loudest fucking person in existence and then just making you super quiet like this. And it's terrible. But like, no, you want my dirty little secret? As people were giving their answers to the question, I'm like, all right, what physicality are they showing so I know when to yell at them during next session? I've got answers.
That's fair.
From editing, I've learned that everyone's sound quality is always pain, and everything is terrible.
But my secret, I think the biggest thing to help out is do physicality everywhere else, and it'll help you keep your head stable. Like one of the reasons I do the asshole lean like this as opposed to a lean forward like this is because this makes me closer and makes me louder. The asshole lean is a way of leaning that keeps my head basically where it was before. It goes from here to here. So I think an easy way is dumping all your physicality into your hands and stuff. I also heard that for fidgeting, holding a pen actually really does help.
I do that too.
Yeah, I heard that holding a pen is really helpful.
I do that anyways. Yeah, I have one right now.
My fingers always need something to hold.
All right, so we got a handful of questions for the ending, and I think I'm going to speed through some of these, and it'll be like me and the appropriate person talking because we got like 4 left. But before we do that, don't mimic me, Emily. We are going to announce the winner of the mystery prize. Wait a second. Let me pull up the proper music for this.
Charlie's excited too.
Did you just see Peter's comment, Ari?
Yes.
Here we go.
Don't do
tell you, I always see it.
All right. It's time to learn about the mystery prize.
We're all really excited
For the
about
last winner of the mystery prize. All right, I'm going to get rid of this X-Files theme.
It's really loud.
I'm sorry. Anyway, so the winner of our last mystery prize. What are these? What are these mysterious shapes? All right, is the music quieter now? I'm sorry, it's so loud. Anyways, I'm just gonna cut the music for this because this is really important to make sure you got it. So, what are these mysterious shapes? Why, they are our heroes? Question mark. Whoa. Emily and I. Emily's been hard at work drawing. They can't see you.
Oh.
Emily's been hard at work drawing what we call beans, cute versions of our characters. And what we have are sticker packs of each of the characters, about 3 inches tall each, about 2 to 4 inches wide are each of them. So we've got a sticker pack here of each of our heroes. But that's not all. Our winner is also going to get a sticker pack of our villains and Don. Right along the Great Vespari, Aegon Stormbreaker, Lorraine Styles, and Don, as their villainous plans and Don's reluctant following stick their way into your hearts. I did not plan this out. We also have
Stuck the landing.
friends. We have, from left to right, we have Jesse, Zoe, Everett, and Shauna. But that's not all. This person is not only going to get sticker pack 1, 2, or 3, they're going to get sticker pack 4, which was kind of our miscellaneous, which we call the Doing Their Best pack, which includes, as one sticker, all 3 Penny brothers, Mako, Mauve, and your favorite asshole friend, Lowell. So that's going to be 4 sticker packs they'll be getting. But we thought, we have all these people together. What if we got them together and put them on a poster? So the winner of this is also going to get the Quest Friends poster, which contains all 16 beans, and one of them is 3 people. So in total, all 18 characters together on a poster, 18 by 12, that you can hang on your wall. But that's not all. In addition to the stickers, the poster, and the stickers and the poster, they are finally going to get a shirt so they can carry this party around with them wherever they go. So again, they're going to get a sticker pack of all 18 characters. That is 16 stickers. They are going to get a poster, 18 by 24 inches, and they will be getting a Quest Friends t-shirt. And the winner of this prize is Synthetic Robot Arms. That is literally their name. So Synthetic Robot Arms, congratulations so much. You're going to win all of these prizes. I will send you out an email to, again, Synthetic Robot Arms, and you will get all 16 stickers, the poster, and the shirt. Now, I know that's probably a little disappointing to everybody else, right? Because it's like, wow, there are all these super cool things. Like, it's super cool that Synthetic Robot Arm gets it, but like, you know, I kind of want it too. Right? Psych! You can get it too! If you go to questfriendspodcast.com/shop, we have a shop open for a limited time sale for the next 2 weeks. So from now through through 2 Fridays from now, Friday, October 19th, at questfriends.com/shop. You can order all of these, and you will also get some bonuses for it. Is that you do pay taxes, but shipping, no matter where you are, is absolutely 100% free. And if you get all the sticker packs, you'll get $3 off your purchase, and you'll get a whole $13 off your purchase if you get if you get all sticker packs, the poster, and the shirt. We've been working on this for a long time. Emily's been really rushing the making of them, and I've been coloring them a lot. And we're both in. It's been a long
These were
week.
my tears.
But we're really excited, so please check out com.shop. Please, please do it. I'm gonna order when this period is over, and it should arrive within 3 to 6 weeks after you do it, because it'll take about 2 weeks to get to me, and then 3 to 6 weeks. I can't guarantee how long it will take to go to international because I don't know. I'm just estimating based on American rates that's how long it'll take. So I will ship it 2 weeks after that ordering period ends. So I will order it once that ordering period ends. So on probably October 20th, I'll put in the order, and I'll probably get everything about 2 weeks after that, and I'll ship it on all out to everybody. So yeah, check out questfriends.com/shop. We're really excited. I'm going to go purchase it because I made an LLC entirely to do this. So like I need to buy it from myself. And it'll be really exciting. So yeah, we're really excited. We're just bleeding money, but I like it.
You're done.
I'm sorry. I'm really overwhelmed. I've been holding on so long.
Kyle, really? No, that's a perfect reference.
All right. So we've got a handful of questions next, and I'm going to speed through a couple of them, and because I really want us to end on the last ones, if that's okay for everybody.
Yeah. So
the next couple of questions we're going to ask are concerning our future. So one of the questions we got, which I did not change, are the characters planning on shifting their Numenera focus sentence in light of the new types of foci perchance? Essentially, what of Numenera Discovery and Destiny, which just recently came out, I think yesterday?
Something like that.
I think it came out yesterday. What of that are we going to use? And the short answer is basically none of it. Just because we're about a third through the show right now. And I feel like it'd be confusing to shift everything over. So we're gonna kind of stick with it is. We might add a few rules. I think we're gonna steal the follower rules from I think it's Discovery. Discovery has some follower rules, so we're gonna steal those, or we'll steal the ones from a different system. But for the most part, everything is gonna be kept the same, just for clarity for our users, and frankly, clarity for us as well. As you'll find out in a future episode, this is the first time we used XP as anything but to level up. And we're still learning how to do that. It's a work in progress. And considering that's a mechanic that's been around since the game started, I'm not really comfortable mixing up anything else.
Valiant Ari.
Wow, at least I didn't throw it out there.
I did! I'm mad!
Hey, I'm just going to say, Kyle, that you too, in the old days, forgot what XP could do.
Oh yeah, no,
every damn time in the Strange, you had to be like, you guys can use XP on lots.
And that's why I say it's a shift. Like we all hoarded XP. This game is the first time it's supposed to be designed where we can't. Yet here we are. All right, so that was that question. Another one we got. So this one will be for Tom and me, which is, what part of Shock's backstory will we deal with? Will Shock ever figure out where he came from?
Should I start off with that?
Yeah, you can tell me your thoughts, and then I'll just explain as a GM what my plans
are. So I feel like the shortest answer is that Shock already knows where he came from.
Yeah.
And to some extent the audience does too. Like there are plenty of details that aren't super available to listeners of the podcast yet, and that I think we'll clarify a few of those details. But the long and short of it is that there's not really, I mean, as far as I know, there's not really a twist to Shock's backstory. The important part is the family that he actually had, rather than who his birth parents are. Like, I'm not super interested in Shock's birth parents as a player.
Yeah, it's really basically Mowgli. Like, in the Jungle Book, we don't really care where Mowgli came from. What we care is that he grew up with Bagheera, and he grew up as this man cub in a he grew up, kind of belonging but kind of not at the same time. And our story is pretty much similar. Like, Shock's Shock not having his human parents around is important because it had him get raised. It had him hanging out with the machines, just like it had Mowgli hanging out with the forest animals. And so I think that's the much more interesting thing to dig into. So we're going to really focus on that. I've got enough twists that we don't need to throw in more. Did I say the forest?
You did.
However, for the people in the chat saying, but wouldn't that make Lorraine Shock's parent? An important thing to say is that I said I don't care who his parents are, which means they could theoretically still be alive. It's not stated who they are in canon, so it could be anyone. All right, so another one is this is for me and Ari. And this is about Misha's backstory. So will Misha ever recover her lost memories? Sorry, there. Shit. Will Misha ever recover... Oh, I have her in there. That's why I read it. Let me correct this. I did not write her, okay? Will Misha ever recover their lost memories from before meeting the gang?
Well, I'm not going to say anything.
I think the easiest way of thinking about it is I'm kind of going with the Bourne movies as reference. In the Bourne movies, especially I think the Bourne Identity, and to a lesser extent the one after that are good examples, where Bourne occasionally might get flashes, so we might get glimpses into Misha's backstory, and we'll definitely out of character have this big like, oh my god, this is who Misha was, because unlike Shock's parents, it's really important. We want to know who Misha was. But I think the easiest way to think about it is a lot like the Bourne movies, where I find them interesting because it's somebody grappling with who he was, even though it wasn't him. Like, because he has amnesia, he is an inherently different person. But he also was someone who did all of those things, who was that assassin. So I think grappling with that idea, and especially Misha, I think we've already shown, is very easily guilted, very easily feels bad for things. So I think, stop it. I'm talking about important things. So I think the real interesting thing for Misha is like them grappling with, was I a bad person? Mm-hmm. And if Misha got their memories back, that would inherently change who they are, and I don't want to throw that on Ari. So
yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, I don't think they would get. Like, hopefully, they wouldn't get them back, rather than maybe know more about what they used to be.
Misha will,
but not actually.
Yeah, Misha will learn more. Misha might get back into that place for a while. Like, it's possible that like shit can go south and Misha can become like they were before. But the big thing is that they're not gonna learn it. They're never gonna get it back. And I think even in the flashback session will have some flashes back, kind of those Bourne Identity style, where it'll be like, whoa, what's this weird memory I'm experiencing? But that is going to start from when Misha's memory started, because the memory sessions are our way of exploring what's important to the character. It's really delving into their character arcs and how they got to where they are. So I don't think we'll never really experience full memory Misha. And if we ever do, it'll likely be done in cutscenes, because I don't want to tell Ari, be this person now.
Yeah, I'm glad. I like that. So.
All right, so we got 2 more questions. This one is another future one.
Oh my gosh.
This one is super long, so I'm going to read the whole thing. What's planned? What are your plans? All right, so I'm going to read out the full thing, because I want to make sure I read out the question. So this full question is, this might be a far reach, but once you reach the finale, will you do a second season with new characters like Taz did, or will you leave the podcast be a single amazing story in one place? If yes, would you consider trying out a new role-playing system, or would you stay faithful to our beloved Numenera? So I'll explain my part, and then Tom is very excited about explaining his part. So we'll get to that. So it all depends. Quest Friends is a really massive effort for me. Like I spend I spend dozens of hours probably every like take 2 weeks. I'm probably working at least 24 hours combined on the show. Like even Cookie Crew with Tom edits takes me about 5 to 6 hours just to put in the music. And because of that, it all depends on where I am. My ideal is I love entertainment. I want to make stories. I want to do that full time or at the very least part time. I know I will finish the story for sure, but we've got about 2 years left before it's done, and that's a long time. That being said, we've already figured out for sure what our plans for season 2 would be, and potentially what season 3 would be. I am really enamored with season 2 has a pretty good pitch. Season 3 has a very good one sentence pitch, which I will not mention, but it's a very good one sentence pitch.
Do I know that?
Yes, I'll tell you afterwards.
Okay.
But a couple of things, I don't want to go into too much detail. If we do it, it will be radically different. It's kind of going to be like how Taz did a giant shift in the pacing of giant shift in the pacing of the show. I want to do that too. I don't want season 2 to feel like it's a rehash of season 1. Originally, it was going to be another adventuring story about fairy tales. But it just felt like trying to redo season 1, and I want it to be kind of an apples and oranges thing. One thing I will say, though, that is going to be radically different from that's going to be different from what Taz did, is Taz had that big tonal shift. I don't want our shift to change. So I want the show to feel different. I want it to feel like a completely different entity, but fundamentally, I want it to feel the same. I want it to have the same tone, the same things you all enjoy, so that you come in and be like, this is completely different, but it feels the same. It feels like, a showrunner moving on from one show to a different one. As for Numenera, no, we will use a completely different season. I basically don't want to stay in the same universe for more than one arc. I did have a season 2 premise. If you remember in Charmande, there were statues of the Piper, of the Jack and the Piper. And the Piper is a real character that I created based on a character Emily made named Piper, who's the fucking worst. So if we did a season 2 with our current characters, it was going to be kind of dealing from the issues of heroes to the issues of gods, where you found out that the first Jack was one person. It was a woman, and she was accompanied by a Piper, and he is her ex. And it's basically like dealing with Greek gods who are feuding, and they're just being really petty and terrible. And yet they're unlike the Apocrypha, which vaguely is threatening to doom the planet. They're 100% going to doom the planet unless something happens to them. But we're not going to go that way because I want this story to end fully, and if that happens, there isn't really room for a sequel. We are going to do one more thing similar to Taz, and I'll let Tom explain that because I'll let Tom explain what the plan is.
Okay, all right. So a while back when we started thinking about what comes after the Black Cloud, Kyle mentioned that he might want a gap, an off season between seasons 1 and 2, which gives him a break and more time to work on prep for season 2. After the hell of what I'm sure our finale will be. And so since before Quest Friends started, I was the usual GM, I guess, for our role-playing games. I said, well, I could run the off season. So should we get to that point and we're still going and we haven't died or something terrible like that, I would run a short off season over the course of 6 months or so. I don't know how long that would be in episode time.
6 months is about 12 episodes, so it'd be about the length of one of our average arcs now.
Yeah, it would basically be one arc off season. And there are a couple of systems and settings I might use. One is mostly locked in, but Kyle forbid me specifically from teasing it
Because you
because
weren't
it's not
certain on
100%.
it. Oh,
Well, all right, whatever. It's just there are some cool ideas, and no matter what we go with, they're interesting and wonderful things will
do
happen.
you want to say what it is?
I mean, it's not 100% certain. It's mostly 100%.
Just say what it is, because it's
All
2
right.
years out, but like we don't know anything about it.
All right. So with the caveat that maybe this will change, so don't like consider this a contractual obligation. I would like to run for our off season 7th C 2nd edition, which is a very interesting, very swashbuckly fantasy early modern world counterpart. It's hard to explain. If you look it up, you'll find like at least a blurb on it, and you'll get an idea of the sort of world I would like to run for everyone. I think it would be a very good fit for Quest friends.
And if you want to know where I'm going into this, you can just go.
Like it will be a nautical arc. Like let's not kid ourselves here. Was there even a chance we wouldn't have all these people on a boat as pirates?
All right. So we have one question left. Before we do that, I want to say, to folks who have been listening to us for a while, the folks who, just came in, to anyone who's watched, like, it means people aren't kidding. It means a lot when I hear, when I get reviews, when I hear what people are thinking about the show, when people come on, when people are excited, when people mention us, just knowing that people are listening. One of the first things I do when I do an episode is I go straight to the spoilers chat of the fan Discord, and because I want to know what people are thinking, good, bad, or whatever. It means a lot to me that folks are really excited about this thing that I worked on, because I haven't done anything for more than a year. Nothing nearly as consistent as this, and I've wanted to my whole life. And this, I mean, it means a lot. It feels like a real first step in actually attaining the things I've always said I wanted to attain. So related to that, our last question before we wrap up for tonight is one that I think was a good one to end on. And I've basically already answered it. But for everyone else, my last question is, what is it like having strangers out there that listen to your voices every other week and care a lot about your role-playing game?
It's such a strange thing, especially at first. Oh shoot! I completely forgot that I was going to do like an anniversary tweet, but I'll just tell this story now since I've forgotten for a week now. After I missed the actual anniversary, I was like, well, I'll just post it the day of the stream because that's an excuse. All right, but the story was how like when I was younger, I didn't have like a lot of good friends, and I spent and still do spend a lot of time online. And back then, I really obsessed a lot over like groups that were making cooperative stories, like a group on fanfiction.net that was like contributing to this collective canon, or like a group of Let's Players all hanging out together, streaming games together. And I'd really obsessed over that, and I wanted to be one of those people, like creating interesting stuff online with all my friends. But after a while, I realized that I actually didn't want that so much. I wanted a good group of friends. I wanted to have like good friendships, and that was mostly what I was idolizing. Like the actual life of a YouTuber or internet creator is not actually that great. I wouldn't want to make this a career as much as I love this hobby. Kyle is made of different stuff than I am.
Give me your money
So-
so I can grow strong.
Strong.
So it was like disillusionment, but a really positive kind, where it was like, oh wow, like I wouldn't actually want this. There are negative sides to this. And also at the same time, you know, in college, I found really good friends, you know, people who are maybe in this chat with me right
The
now.
quest of friends.
And so I had gotten what I really needed out of that. And I just sort of put aside those dreams because it was like, I didn't need any more. And then suddenly they came true after I had stopped wanting that thing. And now I'm an internet creator with my friends, that thing I wanted for so long. And it's a weird experience getting something after you stop wanting it. I don't think there's a moral to the story. I just feel weird, but also really grateful that people care about our weird, dumb adventuring. Oops, didn't mean for feels.
Also, before I forget, I need to credit, was Quest Friends, I think that was Hallie's pun, right?
It was Hallie.
Yeah, Quest Friends was
Yeah.
Hallie's name. So all credit goes to her for this very unintentionally deep thing. Because people ended up being like, oh yeah, everyone being best friends is my favorite part of the show. I'm like, yeah, that was totally why we needed that.
Yes.
Anyways, do we want to popcorn over to anybody else?
Popcorn to Hallie, cause puns.
Those puns. I did think of Quest Friends because best friends. Not only because you guys are my best friends, but also because, I mean, any role-playing party, they usually become best friends. That's just like the fun of role-playing, seeing characters that you just made up like become friends, and it's been a joy. It's really surreal knowing that people are really latching on to these stories we're making up, especially because so many of them are just like on the fly things, like the Jaksha ship was not planned. That just sort of happened because those characters have chemistry. Most of Hopper's backstory didn't exist when we started the campaign. We were just like, this would be cool because it fits with the thing that just happened. It just, a lot of things have happened in the campaign that are like just us having fun with it, and it's really nice that people are enjoying it. I don't know, it's just really surreal, and we're all really thankful on a daily basis that we have fans who listen to us and for each other.
Yep.
Popcorn. Ari.
Yeah. I don't know. It's been really nice and strange. It's the same, I guess, that everybody has been saying. I first enjoyed role playing with basically all of the Quest Friends people before we were Quest Friends per se, and then having other people that listen to our crazy adventures and that like love our characters as much as we do, like having people be like, oh, I love Misha Jarvis, they are so great. It's like, oh my god, it's my character and they love my baby. I don't know, it's nice, and like, you know, seeing random fan art somehow in that, not somehow, sometimes in the Discord, and I mean like in other places in the Tumblr, it's just so nice to like see that other people besides us like our world and the world that Kyle has created and that all of us collectively have made. So yeah, so thank you for that. I'll popcorn it to Emily. Plop.
You're the last one, Emily.
Oh, I am?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I guess if Tom did like the super feely not tweet, I can do that too, right?
Yeah. Well, you're
Alright.
you're a final kicker.
Okay, well, let's see if I can stab you in the heart. No, I'm just kidding. No, I think it's amazing, especially because you all were friends before I kind of came over in here and met. Okay. Stop. Why?
I'm just subtly implying how that happened.
It was Kyle.
If it wasn't, like,
But I think one of the most valuable things with quest friends for me is that it's like hearing people react to like that they think we work well together is helpful in kind of, and hearing you guys talk about what good friends we are is really validating because I don't always have confidence in my relationships, and so that's been really huge for me, and kind of being able to be part of a
Keep going. Don't worry about it.
just part of a group of really, really cool people and being part of a community that's grown from that. I don't know. It's just really special, and it's something that I, for a really, really long time, didn't think that I would have.
Y'all are great.
Hey, you're one of us, Emily.
I know,
Don't ever
and
forget
like
that.
it sounds really silly, but like that means so much to me.
We need to hurry up and go to our break before I actually cry on
Okay.
I'm just
And-
grateful for you guys.
All right, and with that, we're gonna wrap up our stream. Thanks so much for coming. Go to thequestfriendspodcast.com/shop to buy our shit. And then meet us on Monday for our next episode. So that's all we got for you. And then in about half an hour or so, probably a little bit longer, we're gonna be playing some goddamn video games to work through these feelings.
Yeah.
We're gonna do a little bit of stick fight, and then we're gonna do Monster Prom. It's an
Oh.
adventure.
Oh, what a wonderful game.
All right, but thanks so much. I'm gonna keep this this stream open so people can keep chatting. Hope to see you for Monster Prom, and yeah, bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you for watching.